Hey guys, welcome back to Reading Time with Parker and Sawyer. Today, special guest again, Trevor. Today we're going to be reading The World According to Humphrey still by Betty G. Burney. And today I will be reading chapter 14, Hide and Go Seek, or Hide and Go Squeak, actually. But if you've missed any of these previous chapters, you want to make sure to go back on the other vids and make sure you check those out for your skipping ahead to chapter 14. This one sounds like a good one, but let's start it. Apparently, the day after Thanksgiving, humans do two things: eat leftovers from the day before and go shopping. Miss Brisbane didn't go shopping, of course, but Mr. Brisbane didn't go shopping, of course, my bad. But Miss Brisbane left early in the morning after telling Mr. Brisbane that there were plenty of leftovers for him in the refrigerator. So there I was, stuck with this old sourpuss. All he did was sit in his wheelchair looking unhappy. I'd much rather have been hanging out with Principal Morales or chatting with, say, his family. I could have been tricking Miranda's dog, playing cards with AJ's family, or watching Aldo bounce a broom on his finger. But no, what was I doing? Watching a sad and grouchy old man act sad and more grouchy. I could have just settled in for my nap, but I remembered what Miss Brisbane had said. This man had to get out of his cage. Out of your cage, I squeaked out loud without realizing it. Quiet, you little rat, Mr. Brisbane growled at me. Then he wheeled over to the front window and stared out. Okay, if he wasn't going to get out of his cage, then I'd get out of mine because I had a new plan. Mr. Brisbane didn't notice me open the lock that doesn't lock. He didn't see me scamper out of the cage across the table and onto the couch. He wasn't aware that I leaped down to the floor. He didn't even think about me until I stood in the middle of the living room and said, "Catch me if you can!" I know he only heard me squeaking, but I sure got his attention. But he was just as surprised as he could see me there. "How'd you get out of here? And how am I ever going to get you back in?" He rolled towards me. "Come on, whatever your name is, let's get back in that cage." I let him get close enough just to reach me. He bent forward, cupping his hands, but as he reached out to grab me, I dashed over to the opposite side of the room. "You little rat," he said. "You can't outsmart me." He rolled over to the closet and took a baseball cap off a hook. And then he approached, and I let him get almost within arm's reach. Last time he raised the baseball cap, he said, "Okay, fella, let's play ball." "We'll see about that," I squeaked, and I bustled off to the living room. We quickly established the rules of the contest. 1. I would stay out into the open in places he could reach in his wheelchair. 2. He would use his cap to capture me if he could. Once he reached the dining room, I rushed into the den. "Oh, think you're clever. We'll see who's clever," he challenged. From the den, I scuttled over to the hallway. By now, Mr. Brisbane's cheeks were pink and he was almost smiling. "You're smart, but you won't win this one." This time, I let him get a cap within a whisker of catching me, just to keep the game interesting. Then I scurried back to the living room. But before he followed me, Mr. Brisbane slammed the bedroom, and my guest bedroom doors. Aha! He was limiting my range of possibilities. Pretty cunning. In the living room, I decided to make a bold move. I hid under the couch. Then I let Mr. Brisbane stew for 5 minutes. "Come here, Humphrey. You'll have to come out sooner or later," he called, and I thought he didn't know my name. He shook the curtains and pushed the chairs to see if he could rouse me. Too bad he didn't think of using sunflower seeds like Mr. Morales did. Yum. I finally got kicked kind of bored, so I made a dash for the living room. Mr. Brisbane followed me, and this time I let him scoop me up in the cap. "I win," he shouted triumphantly. He was beaming with pride as he stared down at me. "But you are a worthy opponent." He put me back in my cage and scrambled into my sleeping house. I have to admit, the game did make me drowsy. I don't think it was very long before Mrs. Brisbane returned, carrying several shopping bags of full packages. "What happened, Bert?" she asked when she saw her husband. "Nothing," he said. "But your face is all rosy. You look different, and you're wearing a baseball cap," she said. "Sit down, Sue," he answered. "I'll tell you about it." He told her every detail of our match, chuckling and swinging his cap back and forth. "I guess there are some things I can still do," he said. "Now how about a game again, Rummy?" Miss Brisbane was almost speechless. "Okay," she started to get up. Mr. Brisbane waved her away with his cap. "I'll get the cards. You just sit down." As he wheeled into the den, Mr. Brisbane turned to me and quietly said, "Thank you, Humphrey." Mr. Brisbane didn't frown the rest of the day and evening, except when Miss Brain beat him at cards. The next morning, which was Saturday, she couldn't even find her husband. Where could he be? She asked me. He hasn't left in months. A minute later, he came into the house from the garage, his lap full of boards and bricks and things. I've got an idea for our friend Humphrey, he said. Mr. and Mrs. Brisbane spent most of the rest of the day building an obstacle course on the coffee table in the den. They lined up boards along the side, and then they set up things for me to climb over and climb under, like bricks with holes to the hide end and big cardboard tubes. And Mr. Brisbane constructed a series of ramps for me to climb. Oh, we had a wonderful day. Mr. Brisbane got a stopwatch to time me on my runs, and they made bets on how long it would take me to get to start to finish. Mrs. Brisbane even added a few treats to the maze. Bits of apple and biscuits. I had fun. The Brisbanes did too. I could tell. On Sunday afternoon, the Brisbanes invited their neighbors over to watch me run the maze. Mr. and Mrs. Robinson brought their 5-year-old twins along. Glad to see you looking chipper, Mr. Robinson told Mr. Brisbane. I think he's finally feeling better, Miss Brisbane whispered to Mr. Robinson. Mr. Brisbane looked a little vinegary again on Monday morning, though. Why can't we keep him here, Sue? He asked. The children would never forgive me, she told him. He's really their hamster. But, she grinned, there's a 2-week Christmas vacation coming up soon. I think Humphrey better spend it here. Could I believe my cute furry ears? She liked me so much she actually wanted me to come back? This was a whole new Miss Brisbane, one who liked me. By the time Miss Brisbane and I returned to room 26, I was pretty tired. But it was a good tired, and I knew I could rest up for my weekend during recess. So, that was chapter 14. I hope you enjoyed it, and make sure to check out chapter 15 with the next person. Have a great day.